it probably seems like there's an awful lot of videos connected to one session of play. This will not continue, but there will, of course, this channel being what it is, there will be commentary videos on each session of actual play. And as I'm hoping to release them episodically rather than session by session, perhaps there will be videos that look back over the whole episode as a piece, and we can look at things that worked out well, or assumptions that players made or that the game master made about intentions or actions or whatever that contributed to or detracted from how the episode worked as an episode. One of the difficulties we'll have moving forward is, of course, talking about things like the nature of an episode and how much scripting or planning is going on. As the game master, I have the capacity to what's called frame scenes, and some of them can be quite hard, like, this is where we are, this is what's happening, this is where you are, and then as the game master, I let go. And what happens, happens. This video is not looking at the session itself. It's looking at the pre-session discussion and the post-session discussion, right? So we're looking at table talk. And I'm doing this because this series is being looked at Adept Play, and that's one of the important things that they talk about, not just about the rules and the randomizers and how the text is interpreted or whatever. It's the whole phenomenon of play. So I've pulled these things out. In the actual play video, I've actually removed the opening section from play so we can get into play more quickly and confidently. But it's here, and I have brought in the closing comments of play also so we can see them in context. So the players communicating with each other outside the bounds of the session itself, but inside the bounds of game night. So I hope you find this interesting, and I will be doing this from time to time as the series progresses, to see what we talk about and how what we talk about changes, and what things decrease in frequency of discussion or interest, in which things increase. So we can kind of predict that in a sense, but it'll be interesting to see it happen. Okay. Now we have three players. None of us are in the same time zone. We have one in Malaysia, and me in Korea. We're a time zone apart. We have one in Russia, and of course, that's a very large expanse. We have one in Russia in Moscow, and we have one in Sweden, and they are separated by time as well. So no one's in the same time zone, no one's in the same country, but we all are sharing our appreciation for the original series aesthetic on many levels. The way episodes were approached, the way things looked, the questions that were raised, and so on and so forth. And some of that, I imagine, is going to come out in these table talk videos. All right. That's enough of me.
All right. Oh, well, look at that. There's a little weird thing with dice. Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty
right.
Low tech. This is my Gorn rubber suit.
Yes, I like it. Okay.
I'm not going to use the tokens, the threat and momentum tokens. I think that will just be too hard. But I did create a backdrop that I'm going to switch to. I'm going to share a screen that I can move junk around on, like momentum and ship's power or shields or whatever.
Cool. Okay.
Okay.
I have an equally informal list that I don't know how complete it is, but I think it's pretty good. That determination, momentum, values, traits, and focus, and talents. This system features
everything.
A certain amount of ways to mess with rolling. So
Yeah.
I know. It is deeply stuffed. We will comment. I will comment upon that at a future date.
One thing I can say is that in a lot of systems,
That's hilarious. One thing I can say is, and then silence. Very zen of you. I like that. Yeah.
I changed to my microphone. That in a lot of systems you roll, you see your result, and then you make a decision to change that result. Or you have to invest something first to increase your chances of getting a better result, something like that. This one takes place in process.
Right.
So things like buying dice, that has to happen before you roll. So there's all of that. But on these dice, the black dice, which generate effects, that's what the delta suggests, right? So this has generated an effect. Then, as part of your roll resolution, you are shaping the actual. You're
Right.
buying
You can
actual
mess with it a
outcomes.
little. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a little bit less than the spend point to cancel the outcome. It's a much longer roll.
Now, other things, we should all have our stress ready, right?
Yeah.
Our stress total. And I believe we all begin with 1 point of determination and an empty momentum pool. Am I right?
That is correct. So there's
I
no
don't, not
momentum
being an
in hand.
instructor, this is my learning process.
Yeah,
Just trying
I
to
get
get
it.
my way through this. Okay.
So
All right.
that's one of the things that I like to talk about right at the very beginning of the very first session, which is this, is that there are a variety of difficulties, and one of them is difficulty 0. And there are some situations where difficulty 0 will mean there's no reason whatsoever to roll. And we'll just go right by it. And if that should happen, when you really feel it's within your character's idiom to do more in that moment, then you can always ask me if we can roll for difficulty 0.
May I make a may I say a question so that I understand that just a tiny bit better?
Yeah.
For example, I might, or you, for example, might invoke a trait and say, well, given that you have this trait, your difficulty 0 just became a difficulty something else.
Yeah.
So you have to roll. That's an example. And then there's other things where I can add to, basically I can do some, I'm not going to hunt up and down my sheet, but there are times when I actually make things harder for some other benefit. There are several mechanics, so I might do that, and in which case all of a sudden the difficulty 0 just became something we do have to roll.
Right.
Okay.
But mostly what I'm talking about is like, because you are the helmsman and this is a standard thing, like a completely standard maneuver, we wouldn't want to waste game time rolling for it.
Completely understand that.
But there may be a situation where you would really like, through the vehicle of your character, to generate momentum off of that difficulty 0. At the start of a scenario or a session, an episode, I will often ask bridge crew to make difficulty 0 checks in order to generate that initial momentum anyway. So we get a tone of, we can get a feel for the ship. Like, is the ship working in harmony? Look at all this momentum we have. It's awesome. Or, ooh, that was awful.
I'm getting ahead of myself here, but it's just because I'm writing this. I wrote this shit down, so it's on my mind. In that case, so we get a little momentum, and then one of us may be feeling our oats and looking for trouble and say, well, as long as I've got this momentum, I want to spend it as create opportunity and increase the threat, right? Or something like that, right? Yeah. So there's, I see. No fun without momentum.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to, this last step I have to do here is bring up my beloved PowerPoint. There
It
it
does
is.
seem like a bit of a strategic system,
There's
that
a
there's a
lot of
lot of
moving
ways
parts.
you
Yeah.
can twist and tweak. I think
Mhm.
I've got the basics of things that can be done, but I'm really unsure about why and when, when I
Yeah,
should.
I think we just play our characters, and Anthony
Yeah.
says, "Oh, well, sounds like you're spending determination or something like that."
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Things of
Well,
No, I could
determination
definitely.
that's
determination is one
the
thing.
harder we play our characters, the more those are going to kick in, and Anthony has to suffer and be the game's unconscious for a while as we're
Yeah.
learning. Yeah.
Determination is the last thing I want to talk about before we jump into actual play. Each of you has values, and I really like the core of the values that I see. Some of them, the phrasing is probably going to get in the way of feeling confident about their use. So a value is in part, a very small part, a role-playing tip, like my character feels strongly about honesty. So you would not write honesty as the value. You'd write something that the character might say to someone else in a personal conversation about honesty.
Mhm.
And then it becomes a catchphrase or something becomes associated with the character. So, like, for example, in my own life, I'm not at all comfortable with the idea of recreational drug use. It makes me very upset, right? So I'm not going to put "don't do drugs" as my slogan or straight edge, as my value. I'm going to put something about clear thinking, right? It's important to keep a clear head. Would be my value.
Got it.
So as we
Would you?
play, that will become easier to write down, and it's one of the ways that the values grow and change over time as you follow this character through all of its various adventures, and the values drift away and get canceled out and repurposed or strengthened and refined. So
Should we get
What?
into specific ones at the moment, or just let it sort of play out?
I
Was there
didn't hear the beginning part.
what was there certain ones you wanted to call out at the moment? Should we go into detail right now, or just let them see how they occur when they occur?
I think you have a real idea of what the value is, and then as
Mhm.
situations come up in play where um, where any of us think that those values would matter, either as being involved or being complicated or as being challenged, being negated, then we would speak up.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. And so maybe since this is the pilot, maybe our precise grammar or whatever
Yeah,
may be subject to a little bit of editing. Does that
exactly.
make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I find it's one of those
Otherwise,
rabbit
we'll
hole
debate
situations. How
forever.
do I write a value when I've never used one? I've never seen one. And the examples are kind of, I don't know, not entirely
all over
helpful.
the place.
Yeah,
We'll get there.
Okay.
Ready and for action.
All right, so I'm going to show you so that no one's surprised later. I'm going to share the screen. There it is. Okay. At some point, I'll be
Oh my
sharing
God.
this. So you can see on-screen assets, right?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Very large and white. Yes.
Yeah, so here's
There
the
we
ship.
go. Hooray! I like it.
These items are power icons. Okay. May not be all that relevant. And these ones over here are shield icons. Okay. So as they get blown up or used up, I'll be deleting them off of the image.
No.
Oh,
This one is momentum and threat. I see I'm going to have to reorganize it because it's hidden behind the bar of.
I can see it over there. That's fine. Go ahead. Keep going.
These are the threat icons, right? So below this black line, these are the this is just the stack of chips. They're not in play, right? So there are 3 players. So I would get to move 6
Right.
threat into the active zone for me to use. And as you do cool stuff, you will earn momentum.
Right.
Right. And this is just so we don't have to talk about how many momentum are on the pool, or that kind of stuff.
The small screen over to the left is not blocked by our faces, so it's actually really clear even though it's small.
Mhm.
Over to the left. Oh, you mean the three choices of slides?
Yeah.
All right.
That view over there is actually doing me very nicely.
Okay. I'm just gonna move things over here like that. Okay. You okay? Everybody
Yeah.
good? All right.
All good?
I'm going to take this away now because we don't need it.
Right.
Stop share. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a Thursday night across Middle America, 7 p.m., and a new show loosely tied to that Star Trek franchise that people have heard about has been announced, and tonight is its pilot episode. Okay. Now I need to do a time check. How are we for time? We're coming up on the 2-hour mark.
Mhm.
Okay. We could call it here and
We've got a good crisis point to pause it
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Well, there's one more little thing that I need to do,
Mhm.
and that is this. Oops, sorry.
Oh, anticlimax.
Always. That's my middle name, actually. There. Share. I'm doing this.
Oh,
Ooh.
removing threat?
I'm spending
Ending.
Oh, spending.
All of it.
threat
Uh-huh.
so that
All of
I
it.
can buy something.
Right.
Don't guess anybody. I just had 3 guesses pop into my
That's-
head and I realized I don't want to say them. Right.
That's a lot of threat. I think I know exactly what it is.
Yeah, me too. But
Mhm.
we'll compare after we're both full.
So we
Right.
won't find that out till next time?
No, I want to
Yes.
know.
Yes. So Dad's shifting uncomfortably on the couch, and he's saying,
Mhm.
"Well, maybe they can't use the shuttle because there's not enough in the budget." You know?
Yeah.
And we have an image of the captain standing on the bridge, issuing these highly organized, logical orders. And what nobody notices as they are all busy doing these tasks in the slightly undermanned bridge, which is all, inconveniently arranged, nobody notices in the astro navigation consoles the momentum detector registering movement. Doot, 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 approaching
In orbit.
your
Uh-huh.
position.
Ooh.
And then we go to the mid-hour commercial, and Dad rushes off the fridge to get a beer, and we draw the curtain down on this first half of episode 1, our pilot episode of Star Trek.
Very cool.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thanks very much. I'm going to go over to Looperman and find a suitably brassy or vocal intro for us.
Now, between
And
this week and next week, I'll be putting up a suggestion for our particular tweak of Space: The Final Frontier.
oh yeah.
Right. So the Enterprise has To Boldly Go where no one has gone before. We'll be inserting our crisis response, right, to defend those. That will go in there. But there's some other little tweaks that need to be made, and then you guys can play with it as you like.
Can I ask, Joe? Can I ask you something about your character?
Sure.
Visually, how is he not Spock?
He is, yeah. I think there was probably one main criteria when I was designing the character, and that was not to be Spock.
Right. So I want to see it. Yeah.
Right. So he is quite young, probably closer to the first pilot Spock than the later Search for Spock. he is very lean, much leaner and longer in the face, and probably paler. So,
You know, I was thinking of something. When we saw actual Vulcans
Mhm.
in Amok Time, they looked really Asian
yeah,
in comparison, right, to the Mark Leonard and Leonard Nimoy, look. So is that sort of a motif that we could expect here?
uh, I sure, yeah. I haven't given much thought. Like definitely a pale skin, maybe a little bit more of a yellowish tint.
Mm-hmm.
The hair is more of a very sandy light
Ah,
brown.
interesting.
So not as dark
Mm-hmm.
black as the Spock look. And the same with the typical Vulcan
Mm-hmm.
eyebrows, fairly tall and lean, sort
Mm-hmm.
of almost gaunt and fluid looking. Definitely not a muscular type.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Okay.
What about Ensign Yang?
No goatee.
Right.
What about Ensign Yang? What's he visually?
Well, fresh face, clean shaven, 20-year-old something, possibly of Chinese descent.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything distinguished features? Well, he will definitely not be like Sulu.
Right.
Maybe more of a slanted eye, and not playing on the stereotype, but that's just how they tend
Descriptive.
to look like. Yeah.
Is he
But
closer
yeah,
to a Chekhov in demeanor?
No,
Or
I
totally
would say let's maybe put it like a slightly more mature looking Wesley.
Oh, okay. Right. No,
Really
that's good.
competent,
Good.
capable.
Right.
Yeah, a more capable
Cool.
Wesley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but in the Chinese skin. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Cool.
I'm liking it. And just another look, Anya Smith.
Anya Smith will need to be rounded out more
Okay.
by interactions with her. She's a little bit older. Maybe she's passed up some opportunities for promotion or transfer because she likes.
Right. One last question so that we can throw it in as important dialogue later. What is the name of our not any captain anymore? Not our captain anymore.
Oh,
What is the name
right.
of that person?
Oh,
Yeah.
yep.
Family name is Anders. Right, and in keeping with the naming traditions of the captains, he has kind of a strong kind of first name. He's Stone Anders, Commander Stone Anders.
Actually, that works because Anders, as a Swedish name, could easily have the first name Sten, which means stone, which is a common Swedish first name.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So he's dramatic. He's a cold warrior type.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like he's Rock, right?
Yeah.
He's Rock Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he's been taken away from his crew, and
Right.
the chief medical officer is now.
Do we know, or are we? I mean, just this is table talk now. I'm not even saying is it for sure, but we have not yet established whether he's back there on the space station. I guess he is, right, where we were dry docked at least.
Yep.
So he's not on board.
Not on board.
Yeah.
And the bridge was surprisingly empty.
Oh yeah.
Other key
clearly,
crew have been removed and not necessarily replaced, right? Just from one shift.
Right.
But none of this is explained in the pilot.
No, we'll get there, or at least incidental dialogue at most later. So cool.
Casting hasn't been done yet.
No uniforms or projects.
No. We're in good shape here.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that needs to be decided is the name of the campaign itself. It's difficult to do this up front because
we should figure that out. I mean, come on. I mean, look at all the twists and turns that the actual pilot, parenthesis S, underwent. So we can work that shit out.
we got some time.
Right. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good start.
Yeah, good start. Definitely a good start.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Take care.
Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
And bye bye.